Kung Fu Heroes, in Japan known as Super Chinese. Very bizarre. This is the first Famicom game from Culture Brain and the first for the Super Chinese series. Culture Brain were originally known as Nihon Game Corporation, where they originally made arcade titles. But the boom of the home console was beginning to show, and NGC knew which bandwagon to hop on, changing their name to Culture Brain in the process, and with help of Namco got their first title Super Chinese onto Japanese shelves and later ported it themselves in the West in 1989. Culture Brain's output in the West really only shines in the early 90s, because a lot of their games are pretty obscure. They mostly tried to get the Super Chinese series and their baseball series Baseball Simulator to be a success, but they just weren't selling. After porting Flying Dragon to the N64, Culture Brain gave up on the US audience with one strange Western-only Cinderella game made for Buena Vista Interactive as their final international game. In Japan, however, is another story. They're still making games over there, although they haven't released anything since 2014. Still, they lasted a lot longer than other companies. It's probably because Culture Brain's games are, very Japanesey. They're clearly games with Eastern themes that your average Westerner won't easily gravitate to. A lot of Kung Fu Heroes, you get me? Especially in their later years where they made games catered to a little kid audience, and by little kid, I mean Japanese little kid. I can't see them marketing these games here at all. But enough with that. Culture Brain's flagship series was the Super Chinese series that began life in the arcades as Chinese Hero in 1984. In fact, Super Chinese is pretty much a direct port with a few new advantages to fit the console setting. For one, there are objects on the ground you can hit to collect secrets, including 1-ups and a fire power-up where you shoot balls of fire. After completing each round, there are 4 levels to a stage. You can find hidden areas. There's 2 brothers that are essentially palette swaps of each other. You know, it feels like this game is trying to be... You get the idea. It's basically the Super Mario Brothers of beat-em-ups. As either Jacky or Lee, you must fight off these gang of thugs who kidnap Princess Min-Min. Oh, kidnap Princess, add another to the pile. You can either punch him complete with the voice sound effect, or do a front flip in front of him. And there's nothing more satisfying than jumping face first into an enemy. In fact, there's a pretty satisfying sound effect when you kill one. Man, I must have Mario on the mind. These enemies can range from schlubby kung fu guys to guys with an extendo claw to walking dressers. I'm sure that's something related to Japanese mythology. To guys with freaking guns. Why couldn't they all bring guns if they wanted to stop the Super Chinese brothers that bad? And you know the saying, don't bring a knife to a gunfight? Well, don't bring a gun to a fist fight, 'cause I'm gonna punch ya. All the new additions Culture Brain added to Super Chinese are great. It helps it feel more like a realized, thought-out game rather than the original, which definitely felt more like an arcadic experience. But it comes with a flaw, and that flaw, much like every beat-em-up ever, is that it gets dull in no time. There's only so many punches and boots to the head you can give before this game just gets really tedious. The whole game can be summed up as, beat up as many guys as you can until the game decides it's time to move on. It also doesn't help that everything happens in this one arena area. Sure, the aesthetics change a little, but it's still the same arena through and through. It doesn't have the advantage of later beat-em-ups, which added unique locations to add life in a very monotonous game. Instead of in an alleyway, you're in a subway, you get me? But you can see this flaw is not a big deal because beat-em-ups don't need to be these games you put a lot of hours in one playthrough. A good beat-em-up can be a fine time waster, just played for a few hours and then you're content. And in that regard, I think Kung Fu Heroes succeeds. And there is a lot of flavor added to the game to make it memorable. The roster of enemies for one, the hidden areas, and even sometimes a monster comes out of nowhere that you have to dodge. Plus it's co-op if you're into that. Now, am I going to tell you to play this over something like Final Fight? No way. Even accepting the game for what it is, later beat-em-ups solve the problem of simple gameplay much better. But I can at least say it's definitely its own thing. And if you like this, then maybe give the sequels a try, which turn the series into an RPG. Because of course it did.